Spinal nerve. You already know that spinal nerve forms with the help of two roots. Posterior root with spinal ganglion and anterior root. Posterior root is sensory, anterior is motor. These two roots join together and forms trunk of the spinal nerve, and this trunk leaves vertebral canal through intervertebral foramen. And after that, trunk of the spinal nerve subdivides into some branches. Main branches are posterior, ramus dorsalis, anterior, ramus ventralis, meningeal branch, ramus meningeus, and this branch goes back to the vertebral canal through intervertebral foramen and supplies meninges of the spinal cord. And wide communicans branch, ramus communicans albus, which goes to the ganglion of sympathetic trunk, and gray communicans branch, ramus communicans griseus. It goes back to the spinal nerve from this ganglion. But white communicating branch, ramus communicans albus, present only in spinal nerves, which start from C8 till lumbar 3. Only in those spinal nerves which start from segments where lateral horn is present, because in this horn we have sympathetic nucleus, nucleus intermedio lateralis, and axons of these neurons goes to sympathetic trunk through white communicating branch, ramus communicans albus. We will speak a lot about white and gray communicans branches in time when we will study autonomic nervous system, that is at the in December. It will in December. Today it is not so interesting. Today we will speak only about ventral and dorsal branches. And dorsal branch usually subdivides into ramus medialis and ramus lateralis. One again. Number 1, radix ventralis. Number 2, radix dorsalis. Number 3, spinal ganglion, ganglion spinale. Number 4, trunk of the spinal nerve, truncus nervis spinalis. Number 5, intervertebral foramen, foramen intervertebrale. 6, ramus meningeus. 7, ramus communicans albus. 8, ganglion trunci sympathici. 9, ramus communicans griseus. 10, ramus ventralis. 11, ramus dorsalis. 12, ramus medialis, and 13, ramus lateralis. This diagram you need to draw next time. Now we will speak about dorsal branches of all spinal nerves. How many spinal nerves in human body? 31. 12, that is cranial nerves. Cranial. 31 spinal nerve we have, and most of them subdivide into medial and lateral. Not all, but most of them. For example, first, ramus dorsalis of the first cervical nerve, it not subdivides into medial and lateral branches, and it has specific name. Only dorsal branch of the first and dorsal branch of the second spinal nerve has specific names. Dorsal branch of the first spinal nerve, that is nervus subaccipitalis. Nervus subaccipitalis. This nerve supplies only muscles. They are musculus rectus capitis posterior minor, rectus capitis posterior major, musculus obliquus capitis superior and inferior. And it is absent here musculus semispinalis capitis. All of these muscles receive innervation from dorsal branch of the first spinal nerve, nervus subaccipitalis. Next, dorsal branch of the second spinal nerve, that is sensory nerve. It supplies skin in occipital region, and name of this nerve is nervus accipitalis major. All another dorsal branches, they are mixed. They supply both muscles and skin of the back. First is motor, second is sensory, all another mixed nerves. And dorsal branches supplies only deep muscles of the back. They are autochthonous muscles. For example, name of this muscle is musculus erector spina. It consists of musculus iliocostalis, musculus longissimus, and musculus spinalis. The same dorsal branches supplies musculus semispinalis, musculi multifidi, musculi rotatoris, and muscles between transverse processes. But in lumbar department we have lateral and medial intertransversal muscles, musculi intertransversarii medialis lumborum, only medial muscles receive innervation with the help of rami dorsalis, and lateral muscles supplied by ventral branches. And in cervical department the same. We have two types of muscles between transverse processes. Musculi intertransversarii posterioris cervicis, supplied by posterior branches of spinal nerves, and musculi intertransversarii anterioris cervicis, supplied by anterior branches. And that is muscles and skin. Dorsal branches, the same, supplies skin of the back, and upper three lumbar nerves gives cutaneous branches to the skin of the buttocks. That is why name of these nerves, nervi cluneum superioris, that is skin of superior aspect of buttocks. And from dorsal branches of sacral spinal nerves, we have nervi cluneum medii. They supply medial aspect of buttocks. That is all about dorsal branches, rami dorsalis. Now, ventral. Ventral branches of thoracic nerves pass in spaces between ribs. That is why name of these nerves are intercostal. How many intercostal nerves we have? Oh, it is clear that 12, but last 12 nerve is subcostal, and another 11 nerves are intercostal. Clear it is. We will speak in general that all 12 intercostal nerves, but you should remember that 12th nerve is subcostal. And now, intercostal nerves supply intercostal muscles, musculi intercostalis, musculi intercostalis, musculi intercostalis externi, musculi intercostalis interni. Below we have transverse muscle, musculus transversus thoracis, start from sternum and goes to ribs, musculus transversus thoracis, and they are musculi intercostalis interni, and inside of thoracic cage we have musculi subcostalis. The same lower 6 intercostal nerves supplies musculus quadratus lumborum, musculus transversus abdominis, musculus obliquus, musculus obliquus externus abdominis, obliquus internus, transversus abdominis, and musculus rectus abdominis. And also intercostal nerves supply musculus serratus posterior superior and musculus serratus posterior inferior. and musculi levatoris castarum. This muscle is the same, receive innervation from intercostal nerves. And last, intercostal nerves gives cutaneous branches to anterior surface of to skin of the chest and abdomen on anterior surface and laterally. They are rami cutanei anterioris, pectoralis and abdominalis, and rami cutanei lateralis, pectoralis and abdominalis. Mammary gland receive two types of branches. Rami mammari medialis, they start from anterior pectoral cutaneous branches, and rami mammari lateralis from lateral cutaneous pectoral branches. And last, anterior branches of upper four cervical nerves. Can you put these models? We can. That is pons, medulla oblongata, and spinal cord. Here it is foramen magnum. And that is first cervical nerve, second, third, and fourth. Four upper cervical nerves, C1, and here it is C4. Each of them gives ventral and dorsal branches. That is dorsal and ventral, dorsal and ventral, dorsal, ventral, dorsal and ventral. And ventral branches join together and make cervical plexus, plexus cervicalis. And cervical plexus gives three groups of branches. First, that is muscular branch, rami muscularis. Second, cutaneous branches, rami cutanei, and mixed nerve, only one mixed nerve, that is phrenic nerve, nervus phrenicus. Some words about muscular branches. Muscular branches. Three types of muscular branches. First, that is rami muscularis. I put here letter A. Rami muscularis. Rami muscularis, which goes to these two muscles. What is this muscle? Sternocleidomastoid muscle and trapezius muscle. These two muscles receive innervation from cervical plexus, and the same, these two muscles receive innervation from 11th cranial nerve. Who remember what is the name of 11th cranial nerve? Nervus accessorius, accessory nerve, nervus accessorius. That is why trapezius muscle and sternocleidomastoid muscle have two ways of innervation. One way from cervical plexus, another way from 11th cranial nerve. That is first, letter A. Next, second type of muscular branches, I put here letter B. That is rami muscularis, which goes to deep muscles of the neck. Musculus longus colli, musculus longus capitis, musculus rectus capitis anterior and lateral, musculi intertransversarii anterioris cervicis, and three scalenus muscles, musculus scalenus anterior, musculus scalenus medius, and musculus scalenus posterior. All of these muscles also receive innervation from cervical plexus, that is letter B. And last muscular branch, that is radix inferior. I put here letter C, radix inferior. What happened with this root? We have 12th cranial nerve, 12th nerve in medulla oblongata. This nerve leaves it leaves skull through canalis nervi hypoglossi in occipital bone and supplies muscles of the tongue. And this 12th nerve, nervus hypoglossus, receive branch from first spinal nerve, which attached to this nerve after hypoglossal canal, pass with this nerve and leaves nerve and makes superior radix superior. Radix superior, that is radix superior. Start from hypoglossal nerve, and let us see that is radix inferior. Start from cervical plexus. These two roots join together and forms cervical loop, that is ansa cervicalis. Ansa cervicalis. And from this cervical loop start muscular branches which goes to muscles below of hyoid bone and one muscle above of hyoid bone. They are musculus sterna hyoidus, musculus sterna thyroidus, thyroid muscle, omohyoid muscle. They are below of hyoid bone, and one muscle above of hyoid bone, that is musculus geniohyoidus, geniohyoid muscle. Impossible to see because it is above of mylohyoid muscle. But you should answer that musculus geniohyoidus together with 4 infrahyoid muscles receive innervation from cervical loop, from ansa cervicalis. They are muscular branches. Next, cutaneous branches. That is the second group of branches. Cutaneous branches, they are 4 in number. One of them is nervus accipitalis major, then accipitalis minor, then nervus auricularis magnus, then nervus transversus colli, and nervis supraclavicularis. 4 cutaneous branches. One again, lesser occipital, greater auricular, transverse nerve of the neck, nervus transversus colli, and supraclavicular nerves. They are supply skin of the head and skin of the neck. And last, third, mixed nerve. That is a phrenic nerve. Phrenic nerve consists of motor and sensory fibers. Motor fibers of phrenic nerve goes to muscle of diaphragm, musculus phrenicus, and supplies it. And sensory fibers supplies pleura and goes to abdominal cavity, and in abdominal cavity, first of all, this sensory fiber supplies capsule of liver and continues to another inner organs through celiac or solar plexus. And names of these branches in abdominal cavity, they are nervi phrenico-abdominalis. Nervi phrenico-abdominalis, they are sensory nerves. And motor fibers only supplies diaphragm. That is mixed nerve from cervical plexus. And phrenic nerve goes to abdominal cavity in space between anterior scalenus muscle and sternocleidomastoid muscle. It passes behind of it that is anterior scalenus. It is sternocleidomastoid muscle, and between them, phrenic nerve goes to thoracic cage, and it passes there between subclavian vein and artery, and then continues in front of the root of the lungs. That is topography of the phrenic nerve. Well, give me a textbook. that is peripheral nervous system, and only this diagram, this left side. On the right side, not necessary to draw this part of diagram, only this part of diagram you should prepare, that is branches of the spinal nerve. Everything about dorsal branches, rami dorsalis, then anterior branches, and you should prepare only cervical plexus, plexus cervicalis. Then you not necessary to read brachial plexus, but you continue anterior branches of thoracic nerves, intercostal nerves, till here. Only not necessary to read brachial plexus. Yeah. Well, you will answer